Good morning, second graders. This is Mrs. Kraus again, ready to do April Number Corner calendar with you. Can you believe there are only 2 more days left in April? So let's get started. Before we begin, I forgot to tell you, could you please go and get a piece of paper and a pencil? We will be using that today during our calendar lesson. So pause the video and go get a paper and a pencil. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you have a piece of paper and a pencil with me today. Let's start out by saying today's date together. Today's date is Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. Now, get out your piece of paper and pencil, and I would like you to write today's date 2 different ways. First in words, and then next in numbers. Go ahead and do that. All right, let's check and see how you did. Did you put the day of the week first, and then after that a comma? And then make sure that you had April with a capital A and Wednesday with a capital W. And then 29, and then another comma, and then the year, the 4-digit year. Double check that. And did you make sure that when you wrote your date in numbers, did you have a 4 and then a dash and then 29 dash and then the shortened year 20? Give it a check. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip that card to see what's on our second to last card of April. Oh, new vegetable. Okay, let's go to our observation chart and fill that in. Looks like we have 2 ears of corn. I'm going to try to keep that in my brain here so I can fill in my grid. So today is 4-29. We're back to a set. And we have 2 corn on the plate. So that's how many parts we have. We have 2 parts and they're both corn. Now, second graders, for our rest of our activity for Number Corner today, we are going to be catching up on some observations on our calendar grid with those markers. We're going to do observations for the 14th through the 17th. But before we do that, I want to teach you something. So all of this month, we've been learning about fractions, and you are getting really good at realizing that fractions are parts of sets or parts of wholes. And you are also getting really good at noticing that a fraction has 2 parts to it. Well, today I want to put a name to those 2 parts. The top part of a fraction is called the numerator. Can you say that tough word with me, second graders? Numerator. And the numerator is the number that comes above the fraction line. So this green part right here is called the fraction line, and the numerator is the number that is on top of that fraction line. And it shows the number of parts that we're thinking about in the whole. So in this whole pizza here, we can see that there are 3 parts that out of the whole that we are thinking about. Now, the bottom number is called the denominator. And the denominator is the number that you find below the fraction line, and it shows the number of equal parts that the whole is divided into. So how many parts is this whole pizza divided into? Well, it is divided into 4 total parts, but we're only thinking about 3, the numerator, these 3 parts that they have colored in here. So with that background knowledge, I want to go back to our observation grid and fill in the observations for the 14th through the 17th. And I've copied the cards right here so we can see them right next to our observation chart. Now in the first picture on the 14th, we know that all of these are sets, by the way. sets of vegetables on a plate. And it looks like I'm observing with my eyes, and I see on the first picture 4 green beans. And they're all green beans. So if I go back to my numerator and denominator chart that I just had up, the denominator, remember, is how many parts are in the whole set. Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. How many am I thinking of? Well, I'm thinking of all of the green beans because that's what I see. So 4/4 is actually equal to the one whole plate. So that's what I'm observing here. Okay, let's take a look at card 15. And we had noted that in the set we have 3 green beans and 1 carrot. The denominator does not change, but the numerator can change based on what we are thinking about in the set. So this time, for this picture, I'm going to write a fraction for the carrots that I see on the plate. Okay, now on this plate, my denominator, there are still 4 parts on this plate, just like the last one. But now I am thinking about the numerator. I'm thinking about the carrots on the plate. So I see 3 carrots on the plate out of 4 total, I'm sorry, not 3. I see 1 carrot on the plate out of 4 total parts on this plate. So 1/4 are carrots. All right. Now the next picture I notice, I'm actually going to write a fraction this time for the beans. As you notice, we still have 4 parts on this plate. But now I am thinking about, for the numerator, I'm thinking about the beans this time and not the carrots. So I'm noticing that there's still 4 total parts, so that's going to be my denominator on the bottom in the basement. But on top, I am thinking about the beans. And so 2/4, or 2 out of 4 are beans. Okay, now for my last picture, I'm actually going to do, and I'm going to add some fractions together, and I'm really excited about this because I just taught you how we can write a fraction for the beans, and we can write a fraction for the carrots on the plate, but now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to combine that. So I'm going to write a fraction for the carrots, and I'm going to write a fraction for the beans, and then I'm going to add them together and see what happens. So let's start with a fraction of the beans. Now for both of these fractions, for the carrots and the beans, I'm going to have a denominator of 4 because there are 4 total pieces of vegetables on this plate. So both of my fractions for my carrots and my beans are going to have 4s in the denominator space. But I'm going to be thinking about the fraction for the bean first. So I see 1 out of 4 are beans on the plate. So that's the fraction 1/4. All right, now I'm going to be thinking about the fraction for the carrots. The 4 in the denominator, again, does not change because there are still 4 parts on the plate. But the part that I'm thinking about has changed. Now I'm thinking about the carrots. And there are 3 carrots on the plate out of 4 total vegetables in the set. So my fraction would be 3/4. Now, if I have, let's see if I can get that to be smaller. There we go. 1/4 plus 3/4. If I add those fractions together, I would get 4/4. I would get this whole plate. The bean part plus the carrot part equals the whole plate. So 1/4 plus 3/4 actually equals 1 whole. So that's my equation. All right, second graders, now it is your turn. I have pulled 3 calendar markers from off the calendar for the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th right in front of you. And with that piece of paper and pencil that you still have, hopefully, what I want you to do is I want you to write an observation for each one of these calendar grid markers. It can be a fraction. I'm noticing on all 3 of these plates, we either have apples or we have some raspberries or blackberries. And so I want to encourage you that you can write a fraction for the apples on the plate. You could write a fraction for the raspberries on the plate. You could even get brave and add your fraction for the apple plus the fraction for the raspberry if there happens to be both fruits on the plate. But go ahead, and I actually want you to write it on the piece of paper and get used to writing those fractions for me. Thanks for joining in. We'll see you tomorrow for the last day of Number Corner in April. Bye.